I'd like to put it up for a vote on the referendum between the 11th and the 14th on the OUSA website. Moving on to question 3. Should the proposed amendments to the OUSA Constitution and Rules be accepted? James Meagher's put these forward. There's quite a few to be discussed. They're in note format up here, and I think they were available before this meeting as well. I think James will probably take us through them in a very slow and caring way.
No hope that this won't take too long at all. So I'm speaking in favour of the adoption of the proposed changes to the OUSA Constitution. These changes have been on the website for quite a while now, and also are floating around up here, and I've also got a copy of a summary of them also. So in the July referendum, the executive went about changing the Constitution in a way which resulted in a bit of a shambolic mess. I was not happy with how the Constitution was, and so I took it upon myself to propose changes to the executive to produce a Constitution which I wanted. I will make it clear that these are not constitutional changes proposed by the executive. They are my changes. I wrote these changes with consultation from a few various sources, and they are not the result of the executive's input. Thus, while they may not exactly reflect what some of the executive want out of our Constitution, it reflects what I want, because I did it. My reasons for proposing these changes are as follows. I was a member of the Governance Structure Working Party which produced the report on changes to the executive structure. I'm not attempting to alter those changes. But alongside that, changes to the way in which we adopt external policy, our budget, our levies, and other administrative tasks were altered. These were done in a manner which I do not think worked as well as my proposed changes. First, the changes have made several sections of the Constitution unworkable. The Constitution mentions the Student General Meeting several times for several important aspects, but there is currently no feasible mechanism for calling an SGM. This means that, for example, you cannot move a motion of no confidence in an executive member, cannot validate breaches or rulings on breaches of the Constitution. My changes remedy this. My changes also, in my opinion, keep in mind the original intention of the changes, which was to allow all OUSA members to have a say on external policy and not restrict it to those who can be physically present at the meeting. My concern was that these individuals who are compulsory members of OUSA have no way in which they can have their say on external policy. Thus, I proposed changes back to a student general meeting format with some slight alterations. These are that a physical meeting must exist with a quorum of 100. This ensures that the meeting itself maintains some legitimacy, but does not hamstring the meeting with a higher quorum count. Quorum is also less important as the issues worth discussing, external policy, budget and levies, will all be put to an online vote for students everywhere around the country to vote on. This will be different to a referendum, as any motion put to a meeting will not be voted for online by the student body as to whether it is accepted or not. This format of SGMs maintains an ability to also pass administrative functions, such as appointing a secretary and honorary solicitor, no confidence motions in executive offices, and ruling on breaches of the Constitution. Being able to do these in the meeting while giving student body as a whole the opportunity to have their say on what external policy will follow is a positive move. I believe the proposed changes both solve loopholes and frustrations caused by the previous changes and fulfil the intention of moving SGMs online by maintaining a forum for debate and discussion, but by enabling any member, so long as they have internet access, to vote and have their say. That for me is the most important part of the SGM process and the most important part of directing the Association's officers as to how we act with regards to external policy. That every member has the opportunity to do so, no matter their geographical location. I therefore recommend that these changes be made, and I have a summary of the proposed amendments with me if anyone would like to see them.
Thank you, James. At this point, I'd like to open up the floor for anyone who may have questions about the proposed amendments. Harriet, if you'd like to come up and join me.
Keeping it brief, my focus has always been a little more big picture than going into the details, and the first time around we didn't quite achieve what we wanted and we didn't all come together and sort out exactly the model, so we do need to make an adjustment to enable us to have online voting for SGMs. I'm very happy with the model that James has proposed, that it achieves the goals that more students are actually going to be able to get online and vote and get involved without having to take time out of their day or miss classes, or for off-campus students to be able to participate in student general meetings, and hopefully we can access a lot more people and we can make sure that we've got all the details right in the Constitution this time. So they're good changes, and I hope everybody votes for them.
Fantastic. Yes, Dan.
I'd also like to speak in support of these changes. They basically address the two concerns that I had with the pure referendum model. Was that first of all it would make it very difficult to do boring but necessary constitutional changes. That problem has now been solved by James's model, and it also removes the so-called executive veto on external policy, because basically the power to send stuff to a vote on external policy will revert to the SGM. So basically the executive will no longer have this apparent ability to be able to stop external policy, and basically, as far as I'm concerned, the executive should not be dictating external policy. Thus, I regard James's model as a gigantic improvement over what we have at the moment.
Thank you, Dan. Would anyone else like to raise a point or ask a question? From Wellington? No? Well, if not, then at this point I'll put it to the vote on the referendum online between 11th and 14th on the OUSA website. And if it's all right with everyone, move on to question 4. This